Hello and welcome to the It Can Happen to Anyone podcast. Yes, so I've taken a break from recording this podcast for a while, but I did an amazing podcast last week with the awesome Hannah Brunskill, which you should definitely check out. And now I am back again today with someone that I've known for quite a while through the peer support group I used to run, and yeah, he's really cool. So I will let him introduce himself with his name and your favorite animal, or if there's anything else you want to introduce yourself with.
Cool. Thank you very much for having me today, Nikki. And I echo what you were saying about your podcast with Hannah. That was a really cool conversation. So I'm so happy to also be a part of your next conversational podcast series. My name is James Moore, and my favorite animal currently is an octopus.
Nice.
I find them absolutely crazy, sort of in a kind of interesting, unique way. I think the way they have developed intelligence and social, emotional kind of behavior through being an individual, as opposed to everything we know about evolution through groups, is utterly fascinating. Um, they are a bit unesthetically pleasing on the eye, but
Yeah,
they can then change what they look like. So it's
yeah.
like everything you try and catch them out with, they seem to know how to counter it. So I quite like octopuses.
Cool.
And yeah, like you were saying, we met through our journeys that so happened to be in a very special place in Croydon, in the UK. So great to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm interested if you're happy to share a bit more about like how how we met and about a bit about your journey and just to hear a bit more about either your personal or professional journey if you're happy.
That sounds good. I'd be delighted to, actually. The reason that I first came across your good self was because I was employed as a community worker, a community builder is the exact term, in an area called New Addington in Croydon. And I was spending a long time as a little bit of an outsider, feeling like an outsider. But my job really was to learn and connect and grow into a feeling of comfort in the area of New Addington and Fieldway. And as a guest in that particular community, I felt that one of the important things I could do was to listen and watch intently as to what was available to the local people in the area. And one of the first places that I really felt a warm sense of welcome was the New Addington Baptist Church. And I used to go to the stay and plays there as a 25-year-old with no children. And that was a particularly overwhelming experience at times because that was what I was asked to do. And eventually I found comfort, a sense of comfort from the lovely new residents there. And I got to know the church better. And then I learned about the mental health work that they do in the community. The power of church in the community is something that I think everybody should um, learn a little more about. It would really surprise you. And for me, as someone that, although my mother is of faith, I'm not personally, but I have a sense of attachment to church and faith generally, if that makes sense. So when I learned about your group for supporting young people with mental health, peer support, I had never come across that before, and it was clearly a free group. And straight away to even say that tells you, I think, where a lot of our work is at in the community. And I think that there's a lot of work to do in that sense. The invite was clear and it felt abundant from looking at your group. And I knew I needed to hopefully bide my time and get an opportunity to speak with you. And that's how I learned about you, really, Nikki.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, I that time of my life back in what year was that? I can't remember.
Well, I don't remember actually crossing paths with you uh, properly until two particular occasions, but I had learned of your group in 2017,
Wow. Yeah.
very early 2017. And there were two very memorable moments for me where I got to be at the New Addington Baptist Church for a particular celebration of Evolve.
Mm.
And I was there with a colleague, Diane, from Centre of Change, another hidden treasure in the treasure chest of that particular community. And another moment was when I was working for the GP surgeries in New Addington as a social prescribing link worker. And you were kind enough to share your expertise and time to engage with link workers who are working with the surgery on how best to work with you as an offer to young people with mental health. And those two occasions, I want to say, Nikki, were probably early 2020 or
Yeah.
2019, something like that.
Yeah, because that time of my life, it's hard to remember that time of my life because I had a lot going on behind the scenes, but Evolve and the peer support that I offered and to some extent still try and offer, it's just I say this quite a lot, but I think peer support, you can get things from peer support that you just can't get on a prescription, like from like compassion, community, creativity, and it's so important that that continues being offered because even though Evolve isn't like going anymore, I know there's lots of other peer support in Croydon and across the world. Really, it's becoming a lot more known about us, and even within the NHS and different health services across the world. And I guess my message to people listening is look for a peer support group if you're struggling, because I'm even trying to find one for myself at the moment. It's quite hard to find because I reached out to different organizations and it can be hard to find, but then once you do find them, they're like treasure, like you say, it's just amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that what you say is really, really important and a clarion call, I think, for those that are in the privilege of service to people that are seeking ways of supporting themselves, because we do not, I think, yet have the sophistication in our approach to procurement and commissioning and connecting between all different stakeholders in society to really show that value around peer support. But there are some breakthrough stories that are abundant, but if you're not looking for them, you're certainly not going to find them, in my opinion. But you know, anything can happen in the world, and I would also say that your Evolve group, although as you say, may not may have sort of reached the end of its story, that doesn't mean that the legacy doesn't live on. There are a number of peer support groups that are happening in Croydon, but particularly the peer support groups that I've seen and become involved with, they wear that legacy, even though they may not even know about Evolve. It's as if there is a culture that you've sort of tapped into, perhaps even initiated, you know. So I always think someone said to me, never ever underestimate the impact of your influence. So yeah, I love this conversation around peer support and someone who I think is a really great speaker on this stuff and someone who I hope to meet one day. His name is Glenn Butcher, and I would advise people to go and check Glenn Butcher out and listen to his podcast with Cormac Russell. It's very powerful. Yourself and Glenn are, yeah, leading lights in this space. So, yeah.
Thank you. I'll definitely check that out. That's really cool. Um, yeah, I love peer support. I'll always tell everyone how powerful peer support is because, you know, like when people have lost all hope and like when people I know even for me, like I thought I'd lost all hope at one point in my life, and then I found peer support through. You can find it in the weirdest of places as well. It doesn't have to specifically be a group, but like even like when I've been in hospital and just talking to other patients on the ward, and we just share solidarity, and we're just like, yeah, this is really shit, and the other person's like, yeah, it really is. It's just really helpful, like having someone that gets it, like someone that can say, yeah, I've been there, and it's shit, but hopefully we'll find a way out together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think you are making me think of how as a person, I've always been very attuned to the moment, and never had I really felt the this eye-opening realization of how every moment really, really matters. It really, really matters. And we can easily forget that. And there are things that we are doing and that we can do in moments like the one you just shared in the hospital ward, connecting with another individual. That sets the path for someone in one way or another. It's such a beautiful image to me of people, in a space that represents care, but actually the real care is coming from those two humans in that vulnerable, but perhaps vulnerable is the right word, recovery together.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think that's what it's all about. It's seeing the human connection,
Mm,
and it's all about just before any labels, before any
mm,
like narrative is placed upon someone. It's about saying, I see you as a person and be who you are here. And that's what Evolve really was. It was just all about saying, be who you are here and we will try and find a way to empower you. It's all about empowerment, compassion, and just really seeing the humanity in someone. And I always said as well, like when I promoted Evolve, was even if it just helps one person, then it's worth doing. 'Cause I don't know if you know this about Evolve, but the first session we ever did, no one came. And then for the whole first year, there was only like one or two people. But I stuck at it because I was like, if one person comes, then it's worth doing. And it's like, and I still have that attitude when I try and help people and do this podcast. Even if one person listens, like even if it's just a conversation between us and no one listens, it's worth doing. Like because as you say, each moment matters, and you just never know when you're gonna plant a seed of hope in someone. Yeah.
well said.
Yeah.
Really well said.
Thank you. So I guess just to ask a question to prompt some more conversation, what's one thing you wish everyone knew about mental health?
Mm. Well, this one is really tough
Mm,
because when we say mental health, we mean it's like a portal into a universe of different experiences, varying levels, different identities, So I think making that question more grounded and focused for me would involve how I've seen people like myself and others have their own mental health learned about, realized, and being able to live with more is through the act of giving and investing in others with a lack of ego and more a sense of duty and service to others. That's how I would answer that question. I'd be interested to hear what you think of that and whether hopefully that made any sense whatsoever.
I think so. I'm trying to understand what you mean by it, and I think what my understanding of it is that we all have, like you say, different universes in our minds, and when we put all that aside, or even maybe not aside, but use it to give to others and really like do it without necessarily getting something out of it, but just to give because it's important to give, like, and to help other people in whatever way that is. Is that sort of what you meant? I don't know.
I think that you've interpreted what I was saying really well because what I'm trying to express is that I wish to be totally candid and authentic. When I speak about important issues, especially in a free space like our one, where I'm given license to sort of roam and travel with my answers, I tend to get quite into my head.
Hmm.
And that can often mean sometimes eloquent, often equivocal ways of speaking. But I'm showing you that I get inside my own head a lot. And the way to sometimes get out of my head, which has been so powerful for me personally, has been has been volunteering and
Yeah.
doing that in a way that helps others. I remember being in a particular place in my life, struggling with sleep, struggling with visuals, dreams, and not knowing how to fight such intense feelings. And I remember I had at the time just started a volunteering role as an appropriate adult for Croydon Voluntary Action, who were working with the police to ensure that people who were arrested that may be under the age of legal adulthood or as vulnerable adults. An appropriate adult is someone that sits within the judicial system so that if a child is arrested or an adult is arrested and they do not have capacities that are not a great word to use, but that's how it's recognized. They need to be shown. The judicial system is creating a place for an independent person that represents their rights in the eyes of the law.
Mm.
So it's right to have an adult present who's trained and can ensure that the person who's being interviewed by the police and going through that entire process at police custody is aware of what is happening. There's no breach of human rights and respect and ethics. And this was the role that I was currently in. And during this day, I remember it very, very vividly, having a really tough time. It had been a week of tough days, and it was a Friday. I had no interest in going out, had no interest in doing anything apart from just staying at home. And that was not what I chose to do. I chose to sign up and just do a shift just to get out of my head. And then I met someone and I realized how huge this world is, someone that was arrested. And I was like, oh my goodness, how on earth did this person end up here? And how is it that I'm here with them now? And that made my world bigger. And in a way, it made me feel more calm. So I would say that that was something that really, really impacted me, volunteering. And I see it in my work today. I see it with people who are isolated and have, like all of us, got a lot to deal with. Some seemingly a lot more than others, or should I say, without the same family friend network. And what I've seen is how much incredible impact people have, even when they don't realize or underestimate themselves in having, through simply shifting their focus to a space where they can help others. And the impact of that is quite something.
Wow. Yeah, that's got me thinking. I'm like, wow, because as you know, I've been looking into volunteering myself, and it's just that is such a powerful, yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking, and it's just really powerful. I think, like you say, volunteering can really just giving something, as you say, ego aside, just giving something freely to someone else. It can help you, it can help the person, it can help the world. So
Mm,
definitely check out volunteering. Yeah.
mm, mm.
Yeah, it's really powerful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, I'm trying to think of um what question to ask next, and I think this one will be. I'm really interested to hear your answer.
Mm.
What's one thing you wish you had learned in school that would have helped you in life?
Mm. Hmm. Okay. So school. It's so it's so interesting, this question, in the sense of we know that school is for education and the development of social skills and all that kind of stuff. And I was lucky to be in a good school, just run of the mill, sort of pretty standard, but a competent local school. And I met some incredible people there who I'm still friends with to this day.
Mm.
Um, and I did okay. I got through my GCSEs, not scoring super high or anything, but I think I did enough to make, particularly my mom and that was enough. My mum proud. The thing that really hit me though was in sixth form, where on my very first day, unfortunately, my family and I suffered a bereavement. Someone really important and close with us, my late stepfather Russell, who is my younger sister Phoebe's dad, and he was an incredible man, and he lives on with all of us, and we celebrate that um, so much. But my sixth form college's response, I think they did enough to test the waters as to whether I was going to be okay. And then they basically, had another conversation with me and said it just wasn't, it clearly wasn't working for either side. Um, I I don't remember being offered any kind of support at that time through the college. I don't remember, I don't remember that moment where the school really could engage with me. And this is just my personal experience, which I'm sharing. Um, I don't feel competent to assess what schools and colleges could do better, but I'm hoping that through expressing my own experience, that there might be ways of you know, colleges and schools to think on how, when that type of unfortunate, catastrophic sort of moment that happens, what 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 outside of, just checking to see if someone is able to complete their classes, what more can be done. I remember having some pretty tough times in classes in sixth form. Visibly, everybody knew, I wasn't engaging, I wasn't disrupting, but I wasn't engaging. I don't really remember anyone reaching out. So I would say, let's look at schools. Why are they so overwhelmed and overburdened at this time? Because there must be so many people within schools, families and children, that are going through stuff, and there may be just a handful, if they're lucky, one on average, and for some, zero amount of actual paid roles within schools to think about how they can support children and families through stuff. I'm not saying it's all their responsibility to deal with. Things like grief and bereavement are huge subjects that, as a wider society, I think in the UK and English culture, we need to do a little bit more of, and learn a bit more about the rituals of, death, and celebrating life, and creating spaces for death to feel a bit more present and tangible, rather than it just coming and no one being fully, or even a smidgen of sort of prepared for it. So yeah, that's how I'm gonna sort of close, and I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I found it helpful, and I found myself actually um reflecting on my time at school, which was a little while ago now. It's rubbish to say, but um yeah, I just find that as I reflect, I completely, I concur with what you say. Like, it's I don't think schools really do have the space to do much around preparing young people for like grief.
Mm,
Because you never know when it's going to happen, and someone close to you can happen when you're young, old, middle aged, whatever. Um, and I think it would have been really helpful actually for me as well, if when I was at school or college or any point in my younger life, if someone had said, like, look, life is really precious, and take each day, each moment as much as you can. And like you said in the previous question, every moment matters. And it's just so important to just celebrate life wherever possible. Because I know sometimes, trust me, sometimes I know it feels like um life isn't worth celebrating. There's so much darkness happening in the world, and it's just like, oh, it's all awful. But then sometimes it's just like, you find little, they call them, I don't know if you've heard of glimmers, like kind of the opposite of triggers, like little glimmers of hope, like little rays of sunshine. And that's what I'm thinking of. And it's like, that's what this conversation is kind of giving me. It's like a little glimmer of hope in amongst all the darkness and madness going on in the world. So, yeah, thank you.
you're welcome. That is totally poetic, and such a beautiful word, glimmers. Such a
Yeah.
beautiful word. I I want to stress that, it's important to recognize that I'm certainly not in a position of blaming any school. Certainly the school that I went to in college, it was more we have an opportunity now, especially when we look at things like health demographics, and those that are severely, if not the most affected by things like cost of living,
Mm.
social inequality. These are single parents at schools. And one of the privileges of my work in the last few years has been being embraced by a school in New Addington that has shown real generosity and an invitation to work with them and to work with some of the parents. These are some of the folks that we don't we don't fully comprehend how difficult things are for them, and opportunities to them through the system, the lots of resources that is there in the system. I appreciate there's a lot of narrative against that position. But when I think of folks in the voluntary sector, in the health sector, in the social care sector, and how we can work a bit more closely together with schools to kind of realize that everybody has a role and every moment is important, like you sort of stressing that came out of our previous question and the conversation earlier. So yeah,
Yeah,
great question. Thank you.
that's okay. Um, I definitely echo what you say in that everyone can play a part in the the bettering of
Mm,
society, making sure no one's left behind. Like you say, like people that kind of, I don't know the right word for this, I don't like it,
mm,
fall through the cracks or whatever. I think no one should be left behind. There's so many people struggling, isolated, like you say, and in a way, sometimes they can feel a bit forgotten about. But I know that as a society, we can do better, which is why I'm doing this podcast to kind of like inspire conversations and just get people to know like there are people out there that care. Whoever's, I don't know, I just feel the need to say like if you're listening and you feel like no one cares about you, just know that like I care genuinely from every bone in my body. Like I care about people that feel alone, people that feel like they have no one, people that feel like no one cares. Like there is always someone that cares. Always. That is just
mm,
a fact. I don't care what anyone says.
mm,
Like, there's always someone that cares. And I just, it might not feel like it, but uh,
mm,
like, there's people out there that just have big hearts. And if
mm.
you just found people, it's not that I'm saying like it's that easy. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that the world is such a big place for someone to
Mhm.
just not be cared about.
Absolutely. I think the message is coming through what you're saying, and I think that's a reason why we're here. We believe in it very, very powerfully and very strongly. And to everybody that's listening, who you are matters.
Yes.
And there are people like you, like us, that that want to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Um, I guess one thing I'd like to ask you, I guess we've already kind of answered this, but if you could write a letter to, this podcast is, it could happen to anyone. So if you could write a letter or say something to that anyone that may be struggling right now, what would you say, if any different or the same for what you've just said?
It's such a great question. It reminds me of an opportunity I saw in, I think, The Big Issue, which I would recommend everybody go out and buy.
Hmm.
There is a volunteering kind of opportunity, and I don't know if it's exactly a volunteer role. Um, and you can write a letter to a person that is serving a life sentence in prison,
Hmm.
and you can engage in dialogue with them. And I find that to be something I'd never even thought about. I don't know about you. And I love these messages of like, there's a way of sharing a gift with someone that you would never ever come across in the world. So I think my letter to someone who is struggling would probably say something along the lines of, you don't know me and I don't know you, but writing this letter in this moment is the most important thing to do in my life. And I want to share with you this moment and say a little bit about who I am and why I'm writing to you. And that would be it. That would be it.
I just wanted to allow a bit of silence there because it was just, yeah, I'm inspired. I want to do that now. I'm going to look up the big issue and I'm going to look up how to do that. So thank you. And anyone listening, I encourage you to do the same. And just if you can, a quick answer. I don't know if that's possible with this
Yeah,
question,
go
but
ahead.
what's one thing that could happen to anyone?
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, I have the answer for you. It is that their unique gift as an individual is recognized as important and essential to the development of our world.
Nice. I
I
love
like that
that because
question.
usually when I ask this question, people say something kind of sad, but I found that quite empowering. So that's I love
I
hearing your
think
perspective. It's just great.
I think you and I have a similar perspective on this stuff, and it's like what you said earlier. Be who you are here, and
Mm,
that is very, very, very important. And the possibilities of gift sharing are, yeah, they're there.
yeah, definitely. Um, I don't know if you have a quote or lyric or poem that inspires you that you'd like to share before we wrap up.
Well, I loved your be who you are here, and
Okay.
one person matters.
Yes.
And the one I came with today is a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King, and I'm going to try and recite it because I learnt it a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And that is, everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't need a college degree to serve. You don't need to make your subject and verb meet to serve. You don't need to know about Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You don't need to know about the second law of thermodynamics and physics to serve. All you need is a heart full of grace, a soul full of love.
Love that. That's just great. Thank you. Um,
My partner's an actor, and she
nice.
memorized 30 pages
Wow.
30 pages in 4 days. So I'm gonna just just point to that fact. It took me a
Yeah.
morning to remember all of that. But I'm very proud of
Yeah.
myself.
It's impressive. And
It's an incredible skill.
yeah, I
Takes a lot
don't,
of work.
that's really impressive. Yeah. Thank you. So I guess what I'm taking away from this conversation we've had today is the importance of like giving to people, whether that's a listening ear or whether that's like financial or like a skill or whatever it may be. It's important to give to people because it helps them, it helps me, it helps
Mm,
society. Um, and it's
mm,
just so important that we don't suffer in silence as well, and that like glimmers of hope can be found in the places you don't expect. So try and just and like you say, like each moment is precious. So that's what I'm taking away. And I wonder what you're taking away from our conversation.
mm. I'm taking away some really powerful poetic expressions that you've shared. glimmers of hope is another one that before our conversation today might have sounded a bit um, weak to me. And now I realize that that's an illusion.
Hmm.
And you know what you said, one person matters. One person matters. That is really coming across strong. And I think I am taking away a profound gratitude to you and to anyone who's listening for sharing this time and realizing how lucky I am with my incredible family, my friends, my incredible partner, and yeah, looking forward to the next moment we get to talk, Nikki. Thank you. I'm looking forward to hearing your guests after me. Can't wait.
Yeah, thank you. And just to end, what's one thing you're looking forward to?
Oh, yes. I think I get to spend time with some folks who have got um, time to spend online, and I meet up with these people on a Monday and a Tuesday. It's called Inclusive Online Activities, and it's a shared space for people who may be diagnosed with a learning disability or autism, and we get together and we have fun and we sing and we dance, and it is an absolute privilege to do it. I'm very fortunate to get paid for my time to do it, but I never realized how much I would benefit from having this in my life. I am absolutely stunned by it. It is an absolute privilege to work with Carol at Inclusive Online Activities. She's an amazing woman. Yeah, and we have a lot to learn from our friends who have got a learning disability and
Hmm.
autism.
Definitely. Well, I hope that goes really well. I am
Thank you.
looking forward to a nice cold Pepsi Max, which is in the fridge.
Your fave.
Yes, my fave. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and yeah, look forward to the next episode. And thank you, James.
Thank you
Thank,
very much.
thank you.